Welcome to Chamber Chat. This is John Tayer, President and CEO of the Boulder Chamber, and I welcome you to our bi-weekly opportunity to check in with the Boulder Chamber membership and the Boulder business community at large to talk about all the work that we're doing at the Boulder Chamber to lift your business and support our economy, not only through this difficult COVID-19 crisis, but in general, our work at the Boulder Chamber, always about supporting your business success. And at the Chamber Chat, we often have a chance to meet wonderful, great leaders in our community. And this week, we're going to be talking to Aaron Clark, who is with Equity Solutions, and we're going to be focused on some of the activities around Black History Month. So I'm looking forward to my conversation with Aaron. But before we get started, just a couple of announcements from me. So first of all, we are ready to rock, as we say, with our annual Battle of the Industry Bands, which is going to be on April 1, which is right around Boulder Art Week. So it gives that great connection. And it's sponsored by Terrapin. We're looking right now for all of you who have bands in your companies to get your application videos in. Get the information on how to apply is going to appear on the screen right here, I think. But make sure to get those videos in, and we accept anything that's either original music or it may be a cover tunes that you do. Regardless, we want to see your talent because we're going to choose the top 5 bands to compete for the #1 industry band of the year during our annual Battle Industry Band. So make sure to sign up and prepare to attend the April 1 Battle Industry Bands. And then we have our Boulder Young Professionals Lunch and Learn at Home series event. And this is going to be on mental health. And we know that this is an important subject that's impacting really everybody as we address this whole COVID-19 experience. And the event is going to be sponsored by Boulder Medical Center. And it's on February 9 from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. What we're going to be talking about in this subject of mental health is learning about the 4 main dimensions of mental health during this COVID-19 pandemic, some resources and tips to help you deal with some of the common reactions that we're all experiencing. And then finally, just thinking about how mental health impacts the career of, in particular, young professionals. And we're going to be led in this conversation by Elise Janis, who is the outreach worker for Mental Health Partners Colorado Spirit Crisis Counseling Program. And know that she has a lot of important information to share with us, again, on mental health. So really urge you to make sure to sign up for that program. And then finally, very excited for our annual celebration of leadership, which is on March 9th. And it's sponsored by FNBO, great partners with us, in honoring great business and community leaders who have contributed not only in their business success, but also in their contributions to our community. And just want to make sure to acknowledge some of the folks who are going to be recognized. First of all, our Virginia Patterson Business of the Year Award is going to Jill and Eric Sklokin from Black Cat Restaurant and Farm. The Innovative Business of the Year award is going to David Cohen and David Brown with Techstars. We also have our Rising Star Award, which is going to Katrina Miller, who's with Black Cat Productions. We have our Franny Reich Lifetime Achievement Award, who's going to a great friend of the Boulder Chamber, Pete Solis, who has made many contributions to our businesses and our economy, as well as our community at large, but in particular, his work with the Latino Chamber. And then we're also doing a special impact award where we'll be recognizing the individuals and businesses and organizations who have supported us through the COVID-19 crisis, both from the economic perspective as well as public health protection. And then finally, and this is my big segue to our conversation, our Innovator Entrepreneur Startup of the Year award is going to Aaron Clark, who started his business this year, Equity Solutions, after having other experience as a startup business leader. And so I'm excited to talk with Aaron about some of the work that he's doing associated with Black History Month. And in particular, I note, as Aaron and I have discussed, that Black History Month is an opportunity for all of us to recognize the accomplishments of African Americans in our community and all of the achievements of that population. But I know that Aaron's been talking about taking a different theme and approach to Black History Month. And I wonder, Aaron, if you can maybe, as I welcome you to Chamber Chat, tell us what is that theme that is on your mind for this year for Black History Month?
Well, thank you, John. It's definitely an honor and appreciate the recognition, the award. And true to form, while we did start Equity Solutions formally last year, you and I have been having this conversation around equity and diversity inclusion for going on 3 years now. I recall both of us sitting at Boulder Startup Week, very passionate about moving the needle and moving things forward in terms of equity in Boulder County. And I remember one of your presentations where you were adamant that, we needed to do more. So we've had a lot of conversations. I'm really glad that, fast forward 3 years down the road, we're moving in the right direction the way we want to be doing. So, Black History Month is a very interesting and unique concept. Growing up as a Black American, it's something that, every February, grew up as a kid in school, you get this whole month where there's a lot of conversation around Booker T. Washington and all these great people that are in our history, Harriet Tubman. And for us in the Black community, we constantly are told these stories and reminded these stories, and we read them and we're like, okay, yes, we understand that. And then oftentimes it feels like February 28th, March 1, we move on and we stop talking about the things that are really important. You've all heard the jokes about, why do Black folks get the shortest month of the year and all these things. And the sentiment behind that is that we have our history, and history is there. We can read all about these things, but does it really change things unless we change them today? So 2020, in the year of 2020, is a year that will go down in history as the year, one of the situations is the racial reckoning that we experienced in 2020 amongst other things like the pandemic. And it really just elevated a lot of things that we've known for a long time. And so after George Floyd was murdered in May of last year, you begin to hear themes around amplifying Black voices and supporting Black voices and BIPOC individuals. And so this year, we've had a little different conversations in different circles. And one of those is, how do we help our allies that are not in the Black and Brown communities begin to amplify and support Black voices and Black individuals? And so what that looks like for, say, a chamber is looking at, like, first of all, how do people that are in places of privilege, places of advantage, take their privilege and begin to amplify other people? So begin to share their platforms, begin to share their voices, begin to share the things that sometimes you take for granted that you can step up in front of people and speak. How do you begin to share that? You see it on social media. You see ecosystem leaders like, I'll call out one here in Boulder, Brad Feld. He does a great job of using his writing, using his social media to talk about the Black and Brown folks around the country that he has come in contact with and works with. And so that's a way that we talk about amplifying. And that second way of support is, you've got to spend your money and your time and your influence somewhere. You've got to buy products, you've got to engage with businesses, you've got to do transactions, you've got to hire. So when you have a chance, how do you turn around and find ways to support a Black business? How do you find ways to give your money towards something you believe in? Here at the Chamber, one of the conversations consistently is buying local. And so what we're saying is just, hey, let's go hyper local. Let's buy and spend our money and support the folks and the businesses that are here in the county that need it most. And in this case, being Black History Month, we're trying to focus that on Black businesses and Black voices.
Yeah, that's incredibly powerful. And I love the notion that we need to move beyond a month of recognition and move to, ongoing support and recognition of, BIPOC, you mentioned broadly as a opportunity for those of privilege to support and lift in our community. And that's certainly a value of the Boulder Chamber. And I will say along those lines, I'm super excited about the partnership that we are developing with Equity Solutions around this notion of amplifying and supporting Black-owned businesses in our community. And there's some great deal of elements that you've helped us to develop in using, as we say, our privilege, our honor to serve this community, to lift those businesses. And maybe you just want to speak to that partnership and some of the elements that in particular excite you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's two elements to lead up to that. And the first one are the conversations that you and I and Karen and other folks and Kate from your team have had. And in those conversations, there's an important piece that I want to make sure you understand and other people understand that happened, which is you all were consistently curious. You were consistently having conversations with different people in the community. You know, I'm thinking of Shakita Yarbrough. I'm thinking of Annette James of the NAACP. You were consistently having conversations with folks saying, hey, we want to do more. Tell us what we should be doing. And all these folks are providing you with feedback, and you listen to that feedback, right? So that is a way that folks can use their privilege, use their advantage to kind of help other folks. And so you did those things. And the second piece is I use the term BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color, specifically because while this is Black History Month and we're focusing on Black-owned businesses and Black folks, what you'll see if you pay close attention is anytime that you support one marginalized people group, what we tend to do is turn around and support the other marginalized groups that are not being discussed. Because deep inside of me, when you say Black-owned, I also want to make sure that my Latinx, my LGBTQ folks, folks that are also marginalized, maybe immigrants, are not in the conversation. I want to make sure they're also getting, some recognition. So anytime you say that, we'll always try and help amplify so that other folks can receive some benefit. We understand that sometimes you do focus on one people group, one community. In the case that we're talking about here, what we developed is a partnership. A few months ago, we started this on social media, some folks here in Boulder. We started talking about where are the Black businesses so that we can support. And I knew personally of a handful of people. I knew about my barber. I knew a few folks that were running businesses, but I wanted to know about more. And so we started a social campaign that kind of went viral. And we went from 4 to 20 to 30. Until today, we have 62 Black-owned or Black-led businesses in Boulder County. And so we've created a list called the Black-owned Boulder County Business List, where we've listed all those businesses. So if you want to patronize, you have an opportunity to do so. And so what we've done with the Chamber is create a partnership so that, number one, those businesses can have membership in the Chamber of Commerce at a steeply discounted rate. And that's a benefit to them so that their cash flow can stay inside their business or families, but they can still access the benefits that we know chambers bring, like networking, like access to different capital and banks and that sort of thing that we can access when you're part of a Chamber of Commerce. And so that piece is the first. And the second one is something also very important, which is the staff of the Chamber has said, we want to hear the voice, the perspective of a Black-owned business so we can be educated, so we can understand how we can do more things. And so we've included that. And then the second piece is we're putting together a really nice advertisement in the Boulder Today publication coming out in a couple months so that people have another chance to see these businesses and support them. And so that's just the start of what we're doing. We've got a lot more things that you and I and the rest of the staff are talking about so we can continue to help these businesses, because we want to make sure a year, 2, 3 years down the road, these businesses are thriving and are consistently a part of our community, not only for the economic benefits that they bring, but also for the perspective and the flavor and the culture that our different types of businesses bring to the community.
Yeah, Aaron, you hit it on the head in just terms of this being a two-way street. This is not just a benefit to the Black-owned businesses that we're working to lift, but this is a benefit to the Chamber organization and the other members as they work to help lift an economy through the diversity and richness of all the businesses that we want to represent, and to present, as is critical to our success, a welcoming and inclusive environment for all business leaders. So that's what we're hoping to create through this wonderful partnership. And I also will note that, as you suggest, this is an opportunity for us to create a model where other underrepresented business leaders also see the opportunity for the chamber and our business community at large as a welcoming environment for their success, and that they're supported in addressing their needs. So I just am so excited about this partnership. But I want to turn the tables to you, my friend Aaron. And your own story of business success is unique. I know that you had another startup business that was quite successful out in the California Bay Area, I think, and that you essentially put that aside, moved to Boulder, and started Equity Solutions. And we've already seen the great work. That's why you're being recognized as the Innovator Entrepreneur Startup of the Year. But I just thought I'd ask if you could help the rest of our audience know a little bit more about your business, Equity Solutions, and what you hope to accomplish through that enterprise.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been, as you move on in life, you start to realize some good and bad and learnings of your life. And my background was a freelance software developer for a long time, and I realized after the fact that I was a good developer, not a great one. And part of the reason is I love the power that tech has to create solutions, but I also like people. I like being around people and engaging. I like solving people-related problems as well. And so through a lot of conversations with therapists and business coaches, et cetera, I'm like, oh, my path needs to go towards a different direction. And so I tried to dabble in what I now understand as the diversity in tech space, and never really found anything until I came out to Boulder. And when I came out to Boulder, I started kind of dabbling around in the community. And I was very fortunate that I met a handful of really, really important people. And the first one was Bing Chow of Mojo Tech, and then I eventually met Matt Zweibel of Pledge 1%. And both those two guys are my good friends now. And they started pointing me in the right direction. They started telling me the different things to do in Boulder and Colorado. And they're like, hey, if you want to get involved in this space, here's where you should go. And I noticed something. I noticed there was a missing piece of focusing on equity. And right around the same time, in the Bay Area and in other places, people were skipping and saying, hey, diversity is not the end all. Equity is, making sure that everyone has what they need to succeed. And so, ironically, I was talking to Matt Zweibel, and we were talking about how do we help people level up on their journey towards equity. We're both around a lot of startups, around a lot of tech people. We kind of understand how their brains think. How do we help them? And so we started developing a platform that finally will be launched later this quarter called DEI Today, which is one of the brands underneath my company. And in this platform, we're just trying to help people level up on their journey towards equity. That led to starting kind of a consulting group so that we could help more people, and so on and so forth. And so Equity Solutions in and of itself aims to be kind of an equity and justice related firm that will help people understand how to move from the station they're at in life around diversity, equity, inclusion, and further. I personally love the idea, love the concept of amplifying other people. I do get a little bit shy, weird, etc. When it's too much on me. I always try to point it to other people because I feel a little bit more comfortable. And so what Equity Solutions hopes to be is a way that I can help translate for people so they understand how someone else feels in a certain situation, and help move the needle towards making sure we have a truly inclusive, equitable economy and a world that we can all really enjoy living in.
I love it. I'm compelled not just by the vision, but I will say that you as an entrepreneur, bringing that kind of energy to this issue that is critical not just for Boulder, but nationally. And then also to line up, of course, one of the first things you're doing is an app. Okay, so you bring that tech sensibility. So Aaron, I know, first of all, I thank you for the partnership that we're developing through our journey as an organization to be a model for inclusivity and equity. I also just want to say congratulations award, and note that these are competitive awards, and you were recognized with a group of folks who recognize that you are a leader in our community that they want to acknowledge. And so thank you then finally for being on Chamber Chat. It was just a really fun conversation. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. It's always a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to so much more good work in the rest of this year.
Amen. Well, and so that's it for this Chamber Chat, but just a couple of reminders. First of all, remember, you get to celebrate great leaders like Aaron on March 9th for our Celebration of Leadership event. Don't miss it. It is absolutely a compelling event and a great way to learn about the great leaders and the history of our community as well through recognition of some of our great community and business leaders. And then also, Battle of the Industry Bands. If you have a band in your business, or if you're a musician associated with a business, make sure to compete for Battle in the Industry Bands. Need to get your registration in, and we're going to have an amazing event on April 1. So be there. And then finally, make sure to show up for the Boulder Young Professionals Lunch and Learn series at home, which is going to be focused again on mental health. That's an absolutely critical program. I want to make sure I get the date right on that. That's on February 9 at 11:30, and I just urge all of you to consider attending. Mental health is something that is one of the critical elements, some folks have said, of the impact of COVID-19, and we want to make sure that we're giving everybody the tools to work through these challenges. Which reminds me that, listen, we're going to get through these times. It's been a challenging year plus. And we're going to make sure that we're going to lift our business and our economy through it and get out the other side stronger than ever. But we're counting on all of your efforts to make that happen. And the first thing that you got to do is follow those public health guidelines. That means wearing that mask when you're out of town, when you're doing a Chamber Chat video, or whatever it is. And we'll see you next time on Chamber Chat.